Hi, Simon.
Hey, Lisa. How's it going?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty
I just came
good?
back from Boston and
Boston.
Philadelphia.
Did you have fun?
Boston. Yeah, it was good. Visiting family mostly. Rob's mom turned 80, and we
Oh,
wanted to
wow.
celebrate
That's
her birthday
amazing.
there. It was fun, and
Congrats.
then headed up to Boston for a few nights to see my family as well. Just
Did you
a
go to
pretty quick
Thaniel
trip.
Hall, hang out downtown at all?
It's called Faneuil Hall.
No,
Some
it's
people say
Thaniel
Thaniel.
Hall.
I wanted us to go up to Salem because so it's October now, and that's a fun time of year to go. It's like all decked out Halloweeny
Oh,
kind of
I
stuff,
bet.
but we
Yeah.
didn't have time. But
Well, and Edgar Allan
another time.
Poe's house is up there, right? And there's
No, that's like Baltimore, isn't it?
no, I thought it was there.
Like the Ravens. That's why Baltimore Ravens are named
I
after Edgar
remember
Allan
there
Poe.
was a bar and it was like a pig in your eye or something was the name of this pub that but it was very funny. But yeah, Salem is kind of cool. The witch museum is like but I feel bad. That was a terrible thing.
And then you ran a half marathon since I last saw you, yeah?
Yeah, a little bit over a week ago I ran in the San Jose half marathon.
Oh, very nice. I have never run
They
that
always give you
far.
shiny objects.
That's awesome.
And this year, my goal with my friend was to run it under. Last year, we did it 2 hours and 4 minutes. Yeah,
2 minutes. Awesome.
2 hours and 4 minutes, and
Oh my God, that's like
we
my
were so
10K
close to
speed.
get under two hours. We were 2 hours and 22 seconds. So I was like,
Next year.
So next year. It's a fun marathon. It's pretty flat, but you get to see a lot of San Jose. You run downtown and then you run through the Rose Garden. So people who aren't familiar here,
nice.
there's a neighborhood just off of downtown that has these beautiful homes and a big giant rose garden that's apparently like world renowned, or at least United States.
Nice.
Yeah. And my kids' high school graduations they put them in the Rose Garden. It's so big that they have like an area that they can do that. So
that's so nice.
yeah, so it's fun to run around your own city and say, "Oh, I've been there. I've eaten at that restaurant. Oh, that's a nice house. This is a good neighborhood." So, but it was a fun race this year. I think definitely better than the first year, like as far as just knowing what to expect.
I was just about to say that. Very cool. And speaking of local things, we had a conversation with a local small business owner, Christina Williams, of Los Gatos Elite, is a gymnastics school in the area. And what would you say were your takeaways from our little chat with her?
One, she's sort of an amazing combination of a gymnastics coach that's very passionate, right, about teaching kids and coaching kids and all of the aspects of the fun of gymnastics and the exercise part. And yet at the same time, you would think she has an MBA, right? And she's savvy about running her business, and she thinks about not just the customers, the kids, but the parents and the whole customer experience. But then even on top of that, the employee experience, right? And it's pretty amazing to hear her. And so that's what we thought you guys might want to hear.
Yep. And I've known Christina for about 5 years. I did help her with some marketing when she initially started her company. So I've known her for a while. And I think, Simon, you probably learned a few things about her along the way.
I absolutely. And I've worked with her for probably a year and a half, mostly on the web stuff, but it's again, amazing sort of businesswoman that's really a gymnast at heart. So,
yep. And I keep telling her that she really is exceptional. And that's why I love working with her.
She's also very humble, which makes it very easy to work with her and to talk to her and things like that. So,
yep. Well, without further ado, here's our conversation with Christina.
We're here with Christina Williams, and we're going to give her an opportunity to share a little bit about what she has done with her business and her gymnastics schools business and things like that. And hopefully today there'll be some good tips and tricks for small businesses to think about when they think about entering into really marketing that business, right? So why don't you tell us to start, Christine? I know you and Lisa have worked a lot together on the sort of marketing side, but let's talk about your journey in launching the business, like sort of what happened, what was your vision, like, how do you keep growing and things like that. And it'll probably take us into other areas as we talk. So
I think my journey into like business ownership is very similar to others people's, as far as like I got frustrated when I was working for someone else, being told no. Basically, I kept being told I wanted to improve things or grow, and not even personally. I was very satisfied where I was at, and I wanted to like improve things and make things better for the customers, for the kids that we were serving. And I just kept being told no. And so there was one point where I came again and had made a suggestion, and I was told, no, Christina, stop asking. It's not going to happen. And so it was actually that moment that like spurred me to like, okay, I got the hint.
I got the hint, right? Yeah. Door slam.
For timing purposes, was it in 2018 maybe that you started thinking about it, or when did you think? Because I know you launched your company in 2019.
Yeah, I launched in 2019. This was probably like 2016 where I was like, oh, I really want to do this.
You were thinking about it for a while.
And at the time you were working as a coach for somebody else, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay. I was running another person's gymnastics program, essentially. I left that company and I went to work for a different company. And even then I'd had it in the back of my mind, like I want to do this, but it just, I don't know, things had to align, and honestly, things just aligned really well for my location in Los Gatos. And that's how it kind of came to be. Like it was like one door opened and then it was like, oh, okay, the next, and then just like sort of simply unfolded. And so I just kept taking the next step.
Nice.
And that's how it came to be.
And what was one of those things that you were being told no? Like, was that a stylistic teaching, or was it a how to run the business or grow the business? Like, what were some of those things?
Definitely like high level vision and growth. Like looking back now, that's what it was. I wanted to change like the CRM because at the time it wasn't online, and we live in Silicon Valley, and I think in 2015, 2016, things were online. That was a normal thing. Wanting to move things online to improve the service. I wanted to bring in other program offerings to diversify for the kids, so you had more than just gymnastics. Another example was like a second location, where I was at previously. They did, they did have some wait lists. And so there was definitely an opportunity for growth that the ownership wasn't willing to do.
Got it.
So you took advantage of that, exploited it even.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but I did not like, I mean, to be
not maliciously.
Clear, not like market. I didn't steal lists. I didn't do that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But I'm also smiling just to hear someone in, a gymnastics school owner talk about CRM. It's like you sound a bit like you have a business degree in marketing as well as like, expertise in the world of gymnastics and teaching and coaching. So where did that come from? Like, how did you teach yourself like marketing? Like, did you have like a mentor, or what was that?
I've had a few mentors, but not until later. I think the marketing aspect kind of came from the need of wanting to like serve the customers better, right? And that's really what drove that mindset shift. And I listened to a lot of podcasts before I opened my business, read a lot of books. I don't have a business degree, but I in some ways I think that's worked to my advantage because I could kind of do things a little non-traditionally.
Sure.
I read a lot of books, listened to a lot of podcasts, got to know Lisa early in the journey of the gym, like when I knew it was going to happen is when, I connected with Lisa.
And I know you don't like to toot your own horn, but I will say, I tell you this all the time, but just for everybody else to know too, you have very good instincts, and you have you're also very open to things, and so just and you just come up with things on your own. You're very creative, and I think you aren't afraid to take chances. You'll try something, you're like, maybe it doesn't work, but you're okay with trying it. You're like, as long as it's not costing you, millions of dollars or whatever.
And I haven't known you that long, maybe a year and a half or so. And my sense is that you trust your team. Like your leadership style is, you trust your team to do the things that need to get done. You might have inspiration or vision, and you do the same with the people you work with, like Lisa and things like that. And I think that's really important too. It's like,
yeah.
Can you name some of the podcasts and books that you just maybe people would be interested.
So I did have a mentor, Stacy Tuschel, and when I first started listening to Stacy, her podcast was She's Building Her Empire, and then it changed to Foot Traffic Formula, and the same podcast is now changed to Well-Oiled Operations. So it's been a journey with her as well. And I've done her programs, and I enjoy her quite a lot. I'm no longer in her programs, but it was definitely...
You've graduated.
I graduated, yes.
Great.
I listened to EntreLeadership by Dave Ramsey. It's a Dave Ramsey one. It's a more leadership focused for business owners. I listened to... is it social media marketing? On and on.
Oh, yeah.
Not as consistent.
They have a good blog too.
Yeah.
They have good content.
And how about, and some of the books that, come to mind right away?
They're right here. So,
you told me about some management ones you've read.
I mean, Start with Why, I think, is really important. FYI, For Your Improvement is a really good book too. That's kind of like a crash course in business. It's like an MBA.
Got it. Yep.
And then The Road Less Stupid, actually, is a really good one.
What a great title.
Yeah, it's really good. So it's basically this guy, all of his mistakes he's made, kind of walking him through, and like steps he took to get out of it, and what he thinks he should have done differently. I also really like the E-Myth. It's a oldie but a goodie. The QBQ, The Question Behind the Question. That's a really good leadership one. I actually have my team read that one. Whale Done, I think, is also like yeah. And my team has to read Whale Done, the QBQ, the 1 Minute Manager, and they have to read what's that one called?
So this is what I'm talking about too. It's like you have this instinct for even how you structure your team. So I remember when you first started out, I don't remember how many coaches you had, but did it start out where you were basically the main manager and you had coaches? And then at some point you transitioned to, talk about that a little bit.
I do. Yeah. So it's exactly right. It was me. And then I think I had like 1 or 2 front desk gals who worked part-time. And I think I had maybe like 7 or 8 coaches that were all part-time. And we kept growing. And I realized very quickly I was the biggest bottleneck, literally. And still to this day, that's probably the number one thing. Yeah. And I couldn't do everything, right? And so I had to, and I will say good team members want to help. Like nobody wants to be like, oh, just tell me what, like good team members want to help. And so I was able to, not delegate, but like really, start with some like, oh, can you do this? Some task handoff. And then I was starting to able to delegate some big stuff. And that was,
and you figure out what people are good at, what makes them go, and what's the passion sort of trigger. Right. And
then sometimes you luck out. 'Cause like, Laura, who's one of the coaches, and I think she maybe just started a couple of years ago. Is that true? And she immediately, like, she has, not only is she a great coach, but she also has this desire to be efficient. And so her operations savviness is like I think you identified that as like, okay, I'm going to have her lead some of those.
She has a background in business operations, like a little bit.
Okay.
She had done biz ops for like a yarn store. And
Okay.
so, it kind of translated easily, but, coaching is really rewarding and really fun. And so you get to have this passion you have in your life and a skill set you have.
Right.
Yeah.
Such a good fit.
Why don't we talk about operations a little bit, and focus a little bit on the marketing that you do for your business, and maybe some of the evolution of the platforms that you've used. Again, you're very savvy in terminology, but then also I know with the tool set and things like that. So why don't you share a little bit about, how that's happened over time and what you're using today?
Our number one marketing source, I think, is really word of mouth. And I know that's like really like a simple generic, we are, a brick and mortar, community focused business. So there's that. But aside from like word of mouth, well, first I will say word of mouth won't work unless you do have good retention and good service, right?
I was going to say, you are not just you've got good customer service. You have very high standards when it comes to expectations and your brand to a certain extent. So it already has a reputation. 5 years in, you've got a very good, you have very good brand equity already.
And I will say this, word of mouth is great, but you got to have somewhere to send them, right? Logical next
and your
step.
Website looks awesome.
For me, it's my website. It looks amazing. That's
full disclosure, Simon and I worked on it. That's why it says a little tongue in cheek there.
I do send people, like, we do have some like paid ads on Google as far as like search ads. So I come up top of search and taking advantage of Google allowing you to buy other search
competitive,
yeah. Yep. So doing that.
How did you know that? Was that through you? Was it an intuition, or did you think that was something that you learned? Did I tell you that? I don't even know.
No, go ahead and buy your competitor's name.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I kind of was like, "Are you sure?" And she's like, "No, go ahead and buy them. Everyone's doing it.
Yep.
Disney buys blah blah blahs,
Yep.
So don't feel
bad."
Yep. So I pay, and then there are times where we do if we're launching a new program, we'll put some money on some specific ads, things. But in general, my biggest pain point for marketing is because we are a pretty full program. Like if I market too much, I already have a wait list.
So you have a wait list. It's a great problem to have, though, right?
I know, but it's like it's still a problem, right? And
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which you bought a company. You bought another gym. That's a whole other thing, which I don't think most small business owners do that. Yeah.
Not yet.
No, it's great. It's amazing. Your growth is amazing. 5 years and I remember you told me that you had an annual goal your first year, and didn't you surpass it in the first couple of months?
I did. And I'm still like shocked it worked, and I don't mean that like, I'm just, it's like, it's very cool to like lay out things and see them happen.
Right. Yep.
It wasn't like on accident. We built this to do that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I understand that, but it's still kind of a cool thing that it works.
And I think you were addressing a need that was probably unmet in the community.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And, speaking of like, how do you know things are working? Like, what are do you have KPIs? Do you use dashboards? I think you're pretty data driven, but where is that coming from?
Yeah, no, we have a critical number every year. And for us, our critical number is like our enrollment, and we measure our critical number, which is just like the gross enrollments. And the goal is that those grow at like 7 or 8% a month, but about probably like 7%. But then also alongside of that, we have to work on retention, right? Because if you're, We won't grow.
What
You don't want to be,
and you're naturally right. Your program only goes to a certain age and a certain level, and then at some point people leave. They have to leave,
or
right?
they graduate to the next level.
Graduate. So yeah, so we're starting, like we started, we have a pretty robust aerial arts program, and so that means that kids that maybe age out of gymnastics could transition into an aerial arts program. Started a
Got
cheer
it.
program, kind of the same thing, to offer like the same community, like a different something that they might be interested in. Yeah.
Yep. And you even have, like, if some of these kids are interested in competing, you know, competitions that can go into Olympics even, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could
Yeah.
be, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like high level competitive athletes.
Yep.
The gym that I just acquired, my second location, they're a heavy competitive gym. You know, they have had athletes in the past go all the way. A long time ago, they did have somebody go all the way to the Olympics, and even recently, they've had same coaches send this in kids to Olympic trials, which is
That's amazing.
no small feat. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you do the like management of these numbers yourself? Do you have people on your team? How does some of that work? Like, how did you?
For a long time, it was me. For a long time, it was me just grabbing the numbers I think I did it on Monday and put them in a spreadsheet. We now have built some dashboards that things are going automatically to a dashboard. And then we're
From like class registrations, or do you take attendance? I guess maybe your coaches, you know, so that's all on a system.
That is all on a system. Yeah. Our CRM handles all the class management and attendance and
billing. It even handles.
Yeah.
Regular communication.
It does. I do some communication off platform, off of
Okay.
platform, there are some limitations with our CRM as far as, I don't know, Lisa could probably speak to.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much, it is designed to handle the relationship between a child and a parent, or children and a parent. It's got that relationship with a lot of CRMs don't have, and then coaches and classes, and then the kids signing up for the classes and programs. So it's a very sophisticated CRM in that regard, but not great. It's like a friend of mine would say pre-Civil War era email configuration. So it's not great. So we've augmented it with another like an email platform.
So
email
gymnastic, that what Lisa just described is obviously very gymnastics or sort of service class subscription based sort of marketing and management. How did you find those tools? Again, what was your?
Well, in my industry, there's really only two big CRMs that you
okay.
There's not a ton. There are a few nowadays, a little bit more niche ones that are starting to grow. And then for me, I just looked at the one that I thought was the easiest to use. Like everything is included, like billing, and like it's very simple in that regard, and it grows with you, you know. So like you can have 10,000 people on it or 200. So it was able to grow with us.
Are you connected with other than gym leaders and gym owners and things like that? Like, is there a forum for like sharing these sorts of things, or is it sort of secretive because it's competitive?
I would say there is forums. So we do have our own like Facebook groups that you can be gym owners and managers. We go to industry specific events. I'm speaking
right
next week. And then we have, for gymnastics specifically, there is like USA Gymnastics puts on conferences. There's a national conference, a regional conference. And at all of these conferences, there'll be like, a sport specific track where, you know, you're just like how to coach the best handstand. Then there's going to be like a business track, you know, and stuff like that. And then also in the vendor hall, there's gymnastics equipment and there's software for gymnastics. They're all together. So they come to us.
Okay.
We're able to like do that really quickly.
What do you think, you know, the sort of next, where's this going? Where's gymnastics going? Where do you want to go? Like, what's going to happen?
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of two different answers. So I want to continue to grow. My idea is to have kind of like the Chick-fil-A model for gymnastics, where I find the leaders to put in place of gyms and grow that way. I have 4 kids, and right now 3 of my kids are heavily involved. And so, I want to provide a place for them to grow into. I have fantastic leaders that I want to have, I don't want to lose. And so I think I have to like kind of have a place for them to grow into.
It's almost like a law firm with partners, right?
Yeah, you have to have a place for them to go or they could leave.
Right.
And then gymnastics as a whole, that is interesting. I don't know. I mean, like when COVID happened, I thought, oh, we're going to go online and be taught by robots. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think you can't, like the connection with the kids and the coaches and the kids with the kids is not the same,
Yeah.
You have to be in person.
I mean, I went and worked out at the gym out in the parking lot for, 6 months, but it still wasn't the same. People were afraid to talk to each other and locker room was closed. And, it's like, and like in gymnastics, like you can't spot someone virtually.
Virtually. Yeah. So I think it will evolve as far as to be like a more smarter sport. We're going to we have ninja and parkour and aerial, like I mentioned earlier. I think we're going to continue to like grow into other areas. And I think all of those like parkour and circuits are all going to become a little bit more mainstream, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's how it's going to grow. You're going to kind of grow out this way.
So, given everything you've been through in the last, say, it sounds like 5 to 6 years, right? What do you have any like tips? Like, what would be your top 3 things you'd tell somebody else starting a similar type of, business where it's reoccurring, you have to keep people engaged, things like that, like a very personal.
I would say being right is irrelevant, if that makes sense.
Nice.
It's not about for your customers and even employees. Like, even if you're right because your policy says this, what's the correct thing to do?
What's the North Star there? The customer at the end?
The experience I want the customer to have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have observed that with you. And so I think there was something where I didn't know that the maybe birthdays price went up or something, and the website wasn't updated to reflect that, but you guys honored the price. You know what I mean? So stuff like that I think you're, doing right by the customer.
Yeah, that is very important to me. I want everyone to have a good experience. There have been a few times where we've had to fire some customers, but it's such an extreme thing,
And it's people that they're going to poison the well. Yeah.
So much. Yeah.
Yep.
Something else I would say, get out of your way as fast as you can. And I think it's really hard for a new business owner because it's your baby, it's your risk, it's your so many things. But the more I'm always the biggest bottleneck. Even in the second location, I'm like, I have to like figure out how to get out faster and, grow my team underneath me so that they're not frustrated with me and stuff like that. Business owners do wear a lot of hats. This is a Dave Ramsey. He says, I am involved in things that are big, broken, or new. And that's where I try to see myself. That's so simple, right?
Perfect.
And so I tell my team, okay, I'm going to if something's broken, I'm here to help, but I'm going to drive the new things. I'm going to help with the big things. That's a kind of a really big North Star just for me to like help keep me focused. Get out of your own way. I think that goes along with systemize as fast as you can.
You have talked about that in other conferences, haven't you? Where, can you touch on that a little bit? I know we're probably trying to wrap up a little bit, but I feel like it's not something people necessarily think about, especially, you are passionate about gymnastics and that's why you started your business. You're like, I'm good at this. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But you also have to run a business. And a lot of people don't think about the business part. They think about, I'm good at
coaching,
the subject matter. Yeah. And so even further with the like operationalizing or systems. Like, talk about that a little bit.
Well, I think I always start with your biggest pain point. So I will say, because first of all, I'm not like naturally an organized person. Like, this isn't like I live my life, everything is systemized.
Like Laura.
I am not that person, right? And so becoming systemized allows me to have what I want in my personal life and have what I want in the business as well.
Yep.
It also, it helps give your team like so much like a roadmap, right, for success. And it allows us, like, the more things are systematized and process driven, you know, we all know what that system and that process is. It allows my team to breathe and, you know, and understand the flow so that they can focus on things that they love doing as well.
Right.
I mean, so like, you know, you can kind of imagine, like, if nobody, where's this, where's that, you know, smoothness, it takes the stress off of everyone, so we can all do what we enjoy doing.
That is a very good point. Simon and I have both worked for large and small companies together. And the smaller company, it's like we're at a point where it's so small that everybody knows everything. And so you don't have to have processes in place.
Right.
But then we both have gone through the transition of we actually need to have things in place so that, because we are not running into people and can have hallway conversations to tell them what's going on. And we have to just...
And to your point about COVID, it's even more now that there's, you know, there's always going to be more people not at the water cooler, not in the hallway. We used to joke about AIT, attacked in transit. Like, you'd run into someone and they would be like, answer this question now. And now it's going to have to be an email or a chat or a video or whatever. So...
Yeah. I mean, I'm training my team on, like, okay, instead of every time you see me bombarding me, keep a list and email me at the end of the day. You know, that's like something, and that's just training your team, and that gives them, they're like, okay, you know. And then my team actually fills out, like, some people fill out an end of day report, and most people that report to me just fill out an end of week report. So for me to, like, address like high level concerns or anything like that, if something is like, for some bizarre reason, like an emergency, of course they can, you know, contact me. I'm always available.
Right. But, broken, right? Yeah. That goes to your broken, big, and new. Yeah.
I love that. I do too.
Yeah. That's Dave Ramsey.
It's a good way to think.
I'm totally impressed because I feel like I said that we've talked to you before. You learn the technology stuff. You're willing to, like, understand it enough, but at the same time, like you said, get out of the way. So you're like, this is what I want, and I know it's possible, but please help me do this. So
yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, Lisa's helped me a lot with that. She doesn't give herself enough credit either about marketing, but she does a lot of technology things. She knows a lot.
You're sweet.
And help you.
Well,
like, work with
right back at you.
So
I mean, I feel like I learned from you just as much. So
I was going to say,
she tells me, "Oh, did you hear about, like, ClickUp? I'd never heard of that before."
Yeah,
it's like you can't be the master of everything, right?
That's right.
And I do think it's okay to be a jack of all trades. I think the master of none is sort of a discount. So if you don't include that, I think you really are, like, very good at running a business, but also the passion of teaching and educating and coaching and safety and, you know, vision casting, right? Like you said, you're trying to bring people forward with you, your team, all really critical elements of a great leader and a solid small business. So
thank you. That means a lot to me. That's very nice.
Totally. No, seriously. I echo everything Simon said. Well, Christina, thank you so much for your time.
And it was really great to have you today, and always enjoy talking to you. Always enjoy the view behind you as well. So no, you can't, you know, California redwoods. There you go. Right. So, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank